About this, the question of where he will be after the surgery and whether or not he gets traded. Here's what Lynch had to say yesterday.
Jimmy's a part of us right now. A lot of people need or want quarterbacks right now, and he's obviously a guy they'd look at. So, yes, we have listened, but he's a part of us, and he's going to work diligently to get back from this surgery.
You know, it's been suggested on this show, and RC, I'll start with you on this, that the 49ers sitting where they're sitting and having been as close to the Super Bowl as they were a year ago, that it wouldn't make sense to trade away Garoppolo, that they've got the quarterback in waiting, but you've got two is better than one, and see what one's. What do you think? Does it make sense to you, RC, for them to trade away Jimmy G?
I mean, it makes sense if you get something that you feel is surplus for Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't just go out and search for a second-round pick if you want to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, if you want to move on to Trey Lance. But if someone offers you something that you never thought you'd get, if you can get a first and a third-rounder in this draft or the next draft, I think you do unload Jimmy G. But also we have to think about what people feel in the building. Jimmy Garoppolo has gotten you to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo got you to the NFC Championship last year. He's a good player. And if you're Kyle Shanahan, if you're John Lynch, if you're the San Francisco 49ers fans, you know what it looks like when Jimmy Garoppolo plays and when he doesn't. And so for me, there is no rush to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. It is Jimmy Garoppolo is a part of us. And in saying that he's a part of us, in saying that there is no rush to get him out of your building, you also don't have to take deals that are bullcrap. You don't have to take deals that aren't enough. People can't just look at you and say, you know what? We know you don't want him. We know you got to move on to Trey Lance. Take this piece of paper and this paper clip and send us Jimmy G. John Lynch is doing exactly what he should be doing, saying for right now, we are a two-quarterback team. And if you want to change that, you have to come hard or don't come at all. Pause.
And so, Mike T, let me come to you on this, because the idea that they might get more than you would think for Jimmy G is possible based upon the very simple laws of supply this offseason.
Yeah, the honest, sober view out here in Indianapolis is right now, when you look around the landscape of the league, there's probably at least a dozen teams that need quarterbacks, and there's just not enough of them. And Greeny, we'll be sitting here maybe 3-4 weeks from now and say, I can't believe quarterback X or Mitch Trubisky got this. And if I am the 49ers, I am not trading Jimmy G under any circumstances. In the last 2 of the 3 seasons, you've been to a Super Bowl, NFC Championship game, one play away from getting back here this year. Why would you move on from him? It's a 17-game season. We saw so many teams lose quarterbacks. I am not trading Jimmy G. I'm going to run it back. Let Trey Lance come along. Maybe he beats him out. Why not operate from a position of strength and not weakness?
Why is it, Graziano, that when he was saying that the first time, or maybe I was the one saying it the first time, that you seemed skeptical, Dan?
It's just not what they're going to do. I mean, they traded all those picks to move up and take Trey Lance, and they already had Jimmy Garoppolo under contract for 2 more years at the time. They know what he can be. The reason Trey Lance is on the 49ers is because Kyle Shanahan sees the ability to elevate the ceiling at the quarterback position to a place Jimmy Garoppolo can't. Lance has a level of athleticism and high-end skill that reminded Kyle Shanahan of Josh Allen in Buffalo. That was the inspiration. Josh Allen crushed the 49ers late in the 2020 season, and Shanahan thought, I need one of those. So Trey Lance is that guy. They're going to move on to him. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to make $25 million this year, and I don't think the 49ers have any intention of paying their backup quarterback $25 million.
Hey, Greeny, yeah, part of being a GM is your plan has to be firmly etched in pencil. And they made it up that way a year ago. Jimmy G played really good football. Let's not move on from a great quarterback. You got a good young one in Trey Lance, but our plan is etched in pencil. We go by what we see. Jimmy G is a really good player.
I like that. I really like that. I'll come back to you, Dan.
I think it's more. I think it's about moving. Yeah.
Okay, I promise I'll come back to you. The delay there is obviously a little bit of a factor. In the meantime, we're going back to Philly in a moment. The Sixers dynamic duo, as you prepare to watch this and all of us to experience this legendary moment on Saturday.
It's surreal for me. I mean, we obviously been doing so much. I haven't really focused on how it's going to be like for me to be in that arena. I won 95 of those games at Coach Carroll's. My record was 95 and 13 in my 3 years, right? 3 ACC championships, 1 national championship, #1 seed every single year. And you kind of having Grant Hill, having J.J. Redick be there, I don't know if Kyrie Irving's going to be there, Zion Williamson, all of us come back. That brotherhood is going to be a very emotional moment because it's so much bigger than basketball for him. That's how people will remember his legacy, but the way he's affected all of our lives as players is something that can never be taken away and will be with us for the rest of our lives.
Now, J.J. Redick, I saw the other day, said he's excited. Many of us are approaching this with an element of sadness. He said he's excited for Coach K because Coach K is going to love whatever the next step is. They're moving beyond this and having more additional freedom in his life. Do you think he's going to love it? Do you think he will embrace whatever the next challenge in his life is?
I think he's going to say that. But I think it's very similar to Tom Brady. Every time I hear Tom Brady talk, like you always wonder,
7 yards on the pickup.
like, are you sure, Tom?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's really no hobbies that Coach K has. He doesn't like to play golf. He loves to spend time with his grandkids and his family and Mickey. I'm sure there's a lot of things he can do.
They're all there. I mean, he's got that entire, that whole, his family is all around him. They're all right there.
Seth knows this. He's still going to be around the program.
Yeah.
Keep it on the ground.
Seth, you coached against him. I mean, if you wanted to make an argument, he's the greatest basketball coach in American history. You could easily defend that argument. How would you describe your many years coaching against him?
Coach K, he set the standard. He set the standard, and he had the agility to change with times. But I can tell you one thing. The 9 years I was coaching the ACC, first day of practice to the end of the season, every single day of practice, everything we did was with the mindset of trying to compete against Duke. Because they set the standard of how hard you had to play, how tough you had to be, how competitive you would be. The things we emphasized every single day had everything to do with trying to compete and have a chance to beat Duke because they set the standards. But the thing to me that J-Lo, you mentioned, I think Coach K, when you watch that tunnel, you're going to see the battles in the championships and all that stuff. I think the thing that's going to move him the most is when he turns around behind that bench and he's going to see 70, 80 players. Because in the end, the most important thing as a coach is help build a bridge for your players to cross. And he's going to see 70, 80 young people whose impact he had on their lives, and seeing them with either their families, as their husbands, as fathers, as successful people in life, and say, you know what? Knowing him, he's going to say...
The pass at the line, ready to go. And for them, a touchdown their last go around. Obviously, they'll be hoping to do that again.
And that did not happen, but that was my ask.
Sounds like Rocky away from what you did before.
That did not happen.
Why didn't that happen?
I honestly, I think we, as a people, we were not clear in our ask, and we didn't hold him and others accountable.
A lot of people say that now. A lot of people feel like we just was so happy that we had
a beautiful black family, and that's it.
We didn't ask for that. There was no democracy that came behind.
We didn't have an ask. We weren't, look, other communities were brilliant, and they had an ask, and they got results. We weren't clear in our ask. I was clear in my ask, and I said, this is what I need
just a
for Black
there, now it'll be third down.
I need economic inclusion. We need to address the fourth and final chapter. And ultimately, that's what's going to make America better, is that everybody is fully, maximize their potential.
We have to...
Tell us how you got the money, though.
Oh, how I got, you want to, okay.
You got the money. Right? You getting the money. Bought the Weather Channel.
He's trying to get all of y'all money.
How'd you get the money,
Okay, my money's easy. My money's easy. Like I said, I had to learn how to make money from the day I started saying, look, I'm going to help my mother and make sure I'm not a burden. Right. That's the easy part. Making money is easy, and that's a mindset. You could put up a radar and say, where's trouble, and trouble will find you. You could put up a radar and say, where's this, and it will come to you. But when you put up that radar that says, okay, how are we going to make money in an honest way, in a legal way, you're going to figure it out, especially today with the internet. With the internet,
to buy the Weather Channel.
By the way, $300 million is not a lot of money. And so I think...
Let me get 50.
Listen, $300 million. I want to make sure everybody understands how much money there is out there. And it is there for you. That money is there for you, and you can make all that and more. That money is there, especially today. I mean, Look, in America, this is the greatest financial system out there. We have over $20 trillion in liquidity in our financial system. That money is just swirling, looking for a place to invest and looking for a place to get a safe return. That money's available to you. That money's looking for you. And there aren't that many people who can actually invest it, protect it, return it with a return. So there's plenty of capital. There's no shortage of capital in America.
How do you get it?
Great question. All right, so let's talk about it.
All right, we're listening.
All right, well, let's talk about it. Then we got to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Because I want everybody to understand it innately, because I want everybody out there to be a billionaire.
And I like when you talk like that.
I want everybody to be a billionaire. I want everybody to be a billionaire. Okay?
I'll talk billionaire.
Because, by the way, God wants you to be that too. Wants you to be your best. So I'm here to help. All right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about, I started my company from my dining room table in 94. And I did a television special on right? So a weekly 1-hour show called Entertainers with Byron Allen.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I sat at my dining room table and I called all 1,300 television stations and asked them to carry the show for free. And on average, they all told me no about 50 times. And literally, I sat at my dining room table from sun up to sundown, and I got about 50,000 no's. And after a year of doing that, I was able to squeeze out about 150 yeses. I got a station, a TV station in every market from New York to Waterloo, Iowa, right? And so that was my lineup. The Tribune had said to me, Byron, if you get 75% of the country, we will sell your commercial time. Because I said to the TV stations, there's 14 minutes of commercial time. I'll keep 7 minutes. You keep 7 minutes. I'll sell my 7 minutes to national advertisers. You, local TV station, you sell your 7 minutes to local advertisers.
Smart.
Right? You sell it to local banks, car dealers, supermarkets. I'll sell my 7 minutes to McDonald's and Pepsi and Johnson & Johnson and General Motors. You sell yours to the local, sport.
And they didn't pay for the show. You paid to get everything
That's right.
done.
They didn't pay for the show. I gave them the show for free.
And you produced the show, did everything yourself.
Everything myself. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Sat there for 1 year and just worked the phones like crazy. For 1 year, the hardest thing I've ever done, give away a TV show for free.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So now, the problem was, after I did that, good old Tribune said, we changed our mind. We're not going to give you an advance of $400,000 so you can go into production and produce this TV show. So I said, okay, I'm not going to sit here for 1 year and tell these TV stations I'm not going to deliver what I told you I would deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And I decided I'm going forward. And I went forward. I didn't know how I was going to get it done, but Martin Luther King, like he said, that's faith, taking that step.
Taking the first step when you don't see the rest of the staircase.
And the rest of the staircase. There it is, right? So I went forward, and it was tough. My home went in and out of foreclosure over 14 times over about a 4 or 5 year period.
From bankruptcy to billionaire.
From bankruptcy to billionaire. That's exactly right. There was there were days I didn't eat. There were days they turned my phone off, and this is before mobile phones. I was calling people from a payphone, and I got to know the lady really well at the bank. And I'll never forget her. She says, "Your file keeps coming on my desk." She says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm not paying my mortgage because I'm paying the cameraman, and I'm paying the sound person, and I'm paying to get tape, and I'm paying to have my show edited, and I'm paying to put it on the satellite, and I'm just trying to put a show in production. I don't have the money to do it." And she says, "Listen, honey," she says, don't let it go past day 89, because day 89, day 90, it goes to the lady next to me, Agnes, and you don't want your file to go to her desk.
That's just a mean name.
Agnes is not as nice as me.
Yeah, white women named Agnes don't play no games.
So I said day 89, and that was it. And I showed up every day on the 89th day, and I paid my mortgage, but I was floating. And finally, I turned the corner, and I signed up all the movie studios to buy advertising. Before that, I was selling 1-800 spray on hair. And after I got the movie studios...
Okay, Envy.
Yeah, it is.
He just got his.
This is real. That's real.
He just got his.
Oh, you just got his. That's spray on there.
It's not spray on, it's plug-in.
It's plug-in?
Yeah,
No damn plug-in.
Okay.
It looks
good, man. It looks good. I mean, that's
Thanks,
one.
Byron.
Thank you. I probably got $20 for that can.
Thanks,
So
Byron.
This is real. Oh, is that real?
Thanks,
Okay.
Byron.
Oh, you still got the spray on.
Oh, we sell it to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So we kept selling, and I got movie studios, and I said, I'm going to go to soft drinks. I got soft drinks. drinks, and I went to fast foods, and I went to packaged goods, and I went to pharmaceuticals, and I went to automotive, and I went industry by industry by industry, and I went to board of directors, and I went to CEOs and chief marketers.
This was you. This was not an assistant. This was not a friend.
I'm on the phone. I'm going day and night. I'm on the plane every night. I'm 6 meetings a day, whatever it is. And finally, I put another show on. I'm saying, I know all these television stations. I know all these advertisers. I put another show on, another show. Next thing you know, I have 43 shows on the air. One of the largest privately held libraries in the world. And I went to Verizon. I said, look, I want to launch 10 networks with you. They said, we won't give you 10. We'll give you 6. We launched 6 24-hour HD networks. I went back years later and said I got a 7th network. We launched the 7th network because we ended up being one of the largest producers of court shows. We launched the 7th network. And then a buddy came to me, and a guy who satellite at my network. Success begets success. And he came to me and he said, can we have dinner? And I said, sure. And we sat down. He says, you don't realize this. Before I was the CEO of this satellite company that satellites our network. He said, I used to be the chief operating officer of the Weather Channel. And he said, you should buy the Weather Channel. Because I know you don't think about the Weather Channel in LA because it's always 80 degrees and sunny. But it's a great business. And it generates hundreds of millions of dollars. And the people who own it just don't want to own it anymore because they're in a partnership, a 3-way partnership. It's Bain, it's Blackstone, and it's NBC Universal. And they want to get out of the deal. And I said, okay, and started talking about it. And I said, okay, let me get into it. We got into it. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy the Weather Channel. And I called the guy up, and I said, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to buy the Weather Channel. And I said, it generates quite a bit of capital. And I need $310 million.
Oh, so you didn't use your own money?
I didn't use my own money.
Oh, okay.
I borrowed it.
Okay.
So the guy, I called him on a Friday morning.
You got his number?
Yeah, I'll get you his number. And by the way, and here's what I knew. He has $100 billion that he manages. So when you have $100 billion that you manage, you have a problem. You have $100 billion that you must shepherd, invest, and get back with a return. So you got to do something with it. There it is. So I said, look, I'm here to help. You got $100 billion. I'm here to help you unload some of that, put it somewhere, and get that return. I'm an asset. Called him on a Friday morning. He sent his top executive to see me the next business day, Monday at 2 o'clock. Sat in my conference room for 4 hours. He said, this is one of the most amazing business stories I've ever heard. You are a brilliant entrepreneur. I'm going to give you a commitment letter, a term sheet tonight, and a commitment letter tomorrow morning. Please close on the Weather Channel. And we did. See, if you know money, money will know you and love you and be with you.
Yeah, that's
money's
where you
easy.
think, okay, if you're down 2
Don't
minutes
be afraid of
left, the
money.
ball's near
Let
midfield,
money
you
love
go
you.
for it. But at this
Money will
stage,
always
at
be
that
with
part
you.
of the field,
There's plenty of
like
money.
you said,
Money loves
it
you.
works.
Did you act cool when he said that? Or were you,
Down after a
were
pickup
you like, all
of
right,
8,
thanks, man?
second and
Or
2.
did you give a little scream?
No, I said like I'm here to help. Like it's I'm here to help.
Because in my head, when he said yes, I'm going to give you that commitment letter tomorrow.
Yeah,
I would have been like,
but that's not the first time you've done something like that. You purchased 11 small market networks from USA.
Well, one of the first things I purchased a movie distribution company, Freestyle Releasing, because I wanted to go straight to the movie theater. Because we as African Americans, we've never had that, where we control our distribution rights in the movie theaters. And I bought the Griot. And the Griot is an amazing African-American publishing.
Watch Natasha on there all the time.
Natasha's the great one. She's amazing. And Todd Johnson just came on board to be our fearless leader. And I felt it was important in buying the Griot to own, our voice, to own our position in the marketplace, to really control our narrative. It's very important to me because when my children were born, I had a guy say to me, a white guy says to me, why is it important that you have black ownership? What's wrong with black target? Because there are a lot of black faces. And I said, I'm glad you asked me that question. Let me tell you why I bought the Griot and why I bought a movie distribution company and why I own 10 cable networks. Let me ask you something. As a white man, as children, are you comfortable with me controlling the images of your daughters and how they are produced, and how they're depicted, and how they grow up looking at themselves. Are you cool with me having 100% control over how your white daughter sees herself? And he said no. And I said, great. I said, I expected you to answer the question. Now understand me as a black man and my black daughters. Now that they're here, I'm going to take a seat at the table, and I'm going to control how they're produced and how they're depicted and how they grow up and how they see themselves. Because at this moment in my life, nothing is more important to me than them.
So when you bought those networks from the USA for $290 million, that was your intention?
Absolutely. So, what we have to do is we have to have ownership. That's what we need to do. We need to have ownership in our community. And that's what I've always pushed for, whether it's the griot or whether it's distributing to movie theaters or whether it's owning cable networks or whether it's owning TV stations or whether it's owning radio stations. You have to own the game, not play the game. And that's always been my position. Own the game, don't play the game.
What do you think you're seeing, though? So you talked about some of the stuff that you're seeing on these TV networks.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the stuff that you're seeing on TV?
I mean, it's varied. I mean, there's an audience for all of it, right? Look, you have 7 billion people on the planet. 7 billion. You don't need that many people. You have about 4 billion connected devices around the world. You don't need that many people to really actually appreciate what you do, and you have a sustainable business. So, it's one of those things where it doesn't matter what I think. There's an audience for it. Right?
What are your channels, and what kind of programming are you putting up?
We have comedy.tv, which is, our comedy network, pets.tv. There's more pets in America, cars, my destination travel. We put out movies. We put out, 47 Meters Down. And, this Friday, November 1, we have Arctic Dogs, our first animated movie. Because I want us to be in the family business, and I want us to understand that business, how to put out animated movies. We're building. I told my wife when I met her almost 20 years ago, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm building the world's biggest media company." The world's biggest media.
Can you do that? Well, yeah, you can. I'm about to say, can you do that putting out black content? Because I haven't heard you mention any black content.
You know what? We are definitely, one of the first movies we put out when I bought Freestyle was Meet the Blacks.
Okay.
With Deion Taylor, who
Can't get blacker than that.
Yeah, it actually says Meet the Blacks, right? Right, all of that stuff. So, I mean, that's what, but what I've always said, and I've said to, young kids, you know what? I don't want to play in the Negro Leagues. I'm going to play in the global leagues. I bought the Weather Channel to make it very clear to all of Wall Street. Look at me as a global player, not as a black player. I'm global and I happen to be black. And there's a big difference. So my assets are global. So
it could be either or, though, right?
It could be either.
I'm somebody like Tyler Perry.
Tyler's amazing.
Unapologetically,
I love him.
Caters to the black audience.
And that's a great business.
He's a global brand.
And he's a global. That's a big brand. But the assets that I'm purchasing, I'm making sure that they have the ability to be global. So one of the first things I did after buying the Weather Channel is I announced that we're doing something that's never been done before. We're doing the Weather Channel in Espanol. It's the first 24-hour Spanish language Weather Channel.
How you say it's snowing in Spanish, John? Navando.
There it is. And so I want to make it very clear that, we're global. We're going.
Spanish Weather Channel be sexy, though. It'd be mad sexy on the Spanish Weather Channel.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. You got to watch it one day and you'll see for yourself. It's not your average Weather Channel. It's sexy.
So you got a sexy weatherman?
We haven't started that.
Guys are sexy.
Yeah, guys and women are sexy, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't started that, but,
It's raining men.
It's raining. We're going to get that done. So, look, at the end of the day, the capital's there. And then also you have to make sure you're positioned to win. And I learned this from a guy, God bless his soul, Roger King. And Roger and I became good friends. Roger came to me once. He said, and I live in L.A., he said, will you come to New York and pitch me? And I said, sure. And I went to New York to pitch him. He was as offices on Broadway. Roger King had a company called King World. And he distributed Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Oprah, right? All these amazing shows. These were his. He put, the reason you have Oprah is because of Roger King. And I pitched him. And he said, wow. He said, I heard you were a great salesman. He said, you really are a great salesman. And that meant a lot to me, because Roger's the most successful at that point. He says, I can only think of one guy who was a better salesman than you. And I said, who's that? He said, my daddy. And he said, my daddy loved salesmen. He says, as a matter of fact, he opened his drawer, his desk drawer, and he pulled out a tie. He said, this tie belonged to my daddy. I want you to have it, because my daddy would have liked you a lot.
Wow.
It was just mental. Right?
You know a deal is getting done after that.
Yeah, he says, he goes, listen up. He said, I want to share something with you. I said, sure. He's a very wealthy, successful man. He said, I didn't realize how bad it was out there and how much racism there was out there until I went and started selling Oprah. He said, one of my first pitches, when I went and pitched a TV station to put Oprah on the air, a guy looked at me and said, I'll never put that in on my television station. And looked me in the face. And he said, I got up from the chair I was sitting in and I threw it across the desk at him. And then I took the show across the street, and I sold it to his competitor, and I ran that guy out of town. And he said, but you know what really upset me is that he thought he could say that to me. He thought I was good with that. He thought I was cool with that. He said, my mama and daddy raised me better than that. Roger King, I'll never forget this. He said, so listen up. He goes, I know you've been calling all these television stations from your dining room tape. And you've been calling them every day, sun up to sundown. I just started my company. He goes, and I play golf with a lot of these guys, and they're laughing and joking about how much you call them and how they're not going to call you back. And they're not going to, and he said, they're not going to do business with you because you're black. And he says, I don't like that. I'll never forget that. He says, so listen up. He goes, I'm having my birthday party at my beach house in New Jersey. And he says, everybody who owns and operates a TV station is going to be out there. He goes, I hired Paul Anka, the Four Tops, and Elton John to celebrate my birthday. They're doing a concert. And the Sarducci brothers are doing a half-hour fireworks show. He goes, please be at my beach house this week. I go, okay. I didn't even have the money to get out there. I took the bus all the way out there. And I get out there and say, man, I hope I'm on this man's list. And I get there, and I go here to Byron Allen, see Roger King, go, oh, yeah, the boss has been looking for you. He keeps coming out and going, where are you? So I go in, and he goes, Byron Allen! Now this party can get started! And he comes up to
one or two things in Hollywood.
He comes up, he gives me that bear hug. He says to me, who here is not returning your phone calls?
On the spot.
Right there. And I said, everybody? He goes, watch this. Hey, Bob, put down that guacamole. Come talk to me. He says, Bob, do you want to renew Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and Oprah? And the guy is just kind of nervously laughing. Well, of course, because if he didn't, his job was over. He goes, do me a favor. He goes, call Byron back. Figure out some business with him, and then we'll talk about what I'm going to charge you for Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and Oprah. And he did that for the whole, and he got up on the stage. We got the Four Tops, and we got Elton John, and we have the hardest working man in Hollywood here in my backyard, Byron Allen. This is the kind of guy you want to do business with. And I never had enough. Game changer, right? And I never realized that persisted. But I'll tell you something that's historic that we're going through. And he taught me that because you got to position yourself to succeed. And that's what he was doing. So the Obama administration came to me because these big corporations were trying to get bigger. They were trying to buy bigger assets. And so the Obama administration came to me and said, Comcast wants to buy this and Charter wants to buy that, blah, blah, blah. Are they good corporate citizens? And I said, do you want the Hollywood answer or do you want the real answer? They said, we want the real answer. I said, the answer is not no, it's hell no. They're not good corporate citizens. He says, they said, how do you feel? I said, well, the industry spends $70 billion a year licensing fees. $70 billion. And African-American-owned media gets zero. And that's not fair. And they say, we hear that a lot, but what are you willing to do? They said people are afraid to speak up because of reciprocity, of repercussions. And I said, I'll speak up. And I said, but I'm going to do it in a way we won't have to deal with it anymore. So I filed these lawsuits that ended up being historic. I filed a $20 billion lawsuit against Comcast and a $10 billion lawsuit against Charter. And
why weren't you afraid to do that as a TV guy?
Once again, you got to burn the knee pads. And I knew we were positioned to fail. We didn't have true economic inclusion, that we weren't really dealing with the fourth and final chapter. So I said, we're going to do this the right way. So we took them to court. And downtown, one of the judges ruled in Comcast's favor twice. And the other judge ruled on the Comcast lawsuit. And the other judge ruled in our favor on the Charter case. Charter didn't like it. They said, let's go to the Ninth Circuit. I said, well, if you're going to take me to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, I'll take Comcast to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Wow.
So we went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And then something historic happened. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in our favor not once but twice on both Comcast and Charter. Comcast was very upset about it and said, well, we're going to take this to the Supreme Court. And now, that's going on now. Now we're going to be in the Supreme Court November 13th.
You said you felt like that was an insult to the black community.
It is a big insult to the black community because the truth of the matter is what I need the black community to truly understand. My case really isn't in the Supreme Court anymore. We, unfortunately, are in the Supreme Court. What happened was the Supreme Court said, we're not going to look at the Byron Allen case with Comcast and Charter. We pretty much agree with the Ninth Circuit. That's a dispute between you guys. But we are going to look at the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Section 1981.
Now, what is that exactly?
Great question. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 was put on the books after, so we were freed pretty much December of 1865. And instead of getting what some historians believe, reciprocity, 40 acres and a mule, we got this law. We got this law, and basically it says we will have fair contracting, economic inclusion in government contracting and in commercial contracting, because they knew that the newly freed slaves, African Americans, were not going to be treated freely in commercial contracting and government contracting, and it was essential for us to be integrated into the financial fiber of America. So this law was put on the books 153 years ago to make sure we had an economic pathway for economic inclusion. 150, it's the very first civil rights statute in America. It gave birth to civil rights, and it is the civil rights statute that allows us to have economic inclusion and stop economic genocide. So what Comcast said, and the Ninth Circuit told them to get out of here with this, Comcast said, in order for you or Byron or anybody, any minority, to use this law, you must prove that the reason we discriminated against you is 100% because you are black. The sole reason we discriminated against you, Charlemagne, is that you are 100% of the reason is that you're black. It could be 99% that you're black and 1% that you're wearing tennis shoes. And you can't use the law. You can't bring the lawsuit against me. So they're eviscerating it. They're making it impossible for you to use it. Now, that is called the but-for standard. That is what Comcast and Charter, that's what they're pushing for. They're pushing for this civil rights statute to go away. Now, what the Ninth Circuit said in favor of black folks and all minorities, Hispanics, Asians, everybody, that it's not the sole reason, which is the but-for, it's the motivating factor. Okay. If any part of the reason, if they discriminated against you,
it would be impossible for it to be 100%.
There it is. It's impossible. So it can't be used. So if it's 20% or 30%, any part of the reason, now you can use it. So that is why we're in the Supreme Court. Now, here's what's happened. Comcast went and got what's known as an amicus brief, a friend of the court, got Donald Trump's Department of Justice to write them an amicus brief saying, yes, let's roll minorities back to 1865. Let's take those Negroes back to slavery. So I thought,
they're actually putting that on the books?
Donald Trump's DOJ wrote an amicus brief in favor of in favor of Comcast's position against us. And not only that, which we thought was unbelievable and hideous, something we've never seen. Comcast said, well, listen, we have 30 minutes in front of the Supreme Court. And Byron has 30 minutes in front of the Supreme Court. But you know what we're going to do, Comcast? This is what Comcast says. We're going to give 10 of our 30 minutes in front of Donald Trump's Supreme Court. We're going to give 10 of our 30 minutes to Donald Trump's DOJ. So now, on November 13th, we're standing in the Supreme Court in a Donald Trump era where we've got Donald Trump's DOJ arguing against us to take the original, the first civil rights statute and eviscerate.
Hold on now, Mr. Allen. Now, given the makeup of the federal courts, aren't you concerned that this new case can undo civil rights for a whole generation?
It could take us back to 1865, all minorities.
So is it worth it?
I didn't petition to bring it to the Supreme Court. They did. And then what they did is they made what I consider, what I call institutionalized racism. They treat us like we are a bunch of monkeys.
What I think, look at it.
That's right, looking for a banana. So here's what they say. Hey, Byron, drop the case.
Right, that's what they're trying to make you do.
Drop the case. Drop the case, and we might meet with you. We might work with you. Well, that's a racist offer. That's a I think you're nothing more than a monkey, and here's a banana.
Now, and you're the white devil's advocate here. Right?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, shouldn't you want to kind of drop the case if it's going to set us back? Set a whole generation back when it comes to civil rights?
No, because I didn't. First of all, we won in the Ninth Circuit twice. We won twice, and I didn't bring it to the Supreme Court. They brought it to the Supreme Court. Now, if you don't come to us in a racist way, and you don't look at us like a bunch of monkeys looking for a banana, then you do it the same way you do it with all white people. No, you settle it up. You settle the case, and then it's dropped. And so they didn't come to
There's no offer of a settlement.
Whatever it is, you settle up. But see, they never met with me.
Yeah.
And see, I asked them to meet with me, but why
they want
don't
you to drop it and then meet with, and then maybe meet.
That's
with
right, which is something you would never ask a white person to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you never ask that. You never ask anybody white to do that. So here, when we asked them to sit with us, they said, no, we're not going to sit with you. As a matter of fact, my government relations person went to the government relations person of Charter, and he said, you should sit with Byron to resolve this. And she said to him, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Whoa.
Okay? That's what she said. And he said, you know what? I have a number of white clients who are much tougher than Byron, and you've never called them a terrorist. And I said, there's the difference. Because they look at us as, you're not equal. You don't sue me.
How dare you try to get something that you deserve?
All right, and how dare you sue me and use peaceful tactics? See, the offer is racist. Like, you drop it, and then I might sit with you, and we might work something out. So that's why you have to be really clear that stop the institutionalized racism. Sit down, Comcast. Sit down, Charter. Don't jeopardize the civil rights of over 100 million people. These are folks that, they're doing the wrong thing. And, Senator Kamala Harris, she was phenomenal. She wrote an amicus brief in our favor, and she got Senator Cory Booker to sign it, Senator Blumenthal, Senator Wyden, and 8 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. 8. Unfortunately, only 8 out of 55. Now, I believe we as Black Americans, we have to ask the other 47 congressional leaders, why didn't you sign this amicus brief? If you want our money, you want our vote, why aren't you signing something to protect our civil rights?
How has the feedback been from existing civil rights organizations? Like, what are they saying to you?
Michael Lawson is amazing. He wrote a phenomenal letter saying to folks, hey, he sent a letter to Brian Roberts and David Cohen of Comcast and said, this is wrong and you should sit down and don't challenge our civil rights. And a lot of folks are very upset. I mean, they've taken it to a level, it's bigger than me. It has very little to do with me at this point because they're challenging our civil rights. Right. Here's what will happen. Now, here's what will happen. You take away this civil rights. Now, someone can fire you, and you can't get a lawyer. That's the reason why the Chamber of Commerce gave them an amicus brief, because they didn't want their businesses to be sued. So now now you can't get a lawyer to take your case on contingency, because it's hard to prove that 100% of the reason you were discriminated against. Damn near impossible. So they don't want that law there to be used. So I say the moment people can discriminate against you and you can't hold them accountable, I say 3 words: welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. And you have to ask, why are you doing this, Comcast? Why are you standing in the United States Supreme Court physically with Donald Trump's DOJ trying to eviscerate this civil rights statute? Have respect, sit down with me, and let's work it out. And this goes away.
Is it true that Comcast executives told someone at your company they're not trying to create any more Bob Johnsons?
That is what someone told us. Absolutely. Wow. That is. Hey, no, look, think about it. Who has created wealth in this country that didn't come from entertainment for the most part? It's very hard. You have you can count on one hand. On one hand.
You mean black people or just
black people?
Okay,
yeah, black people. Yeah, outside of sports and entertainment and your own talent. That's
We're not in the pharmaceuticals and the tech.
There it is. And that's why this lawsuit is important, because you need to protect this. Because what historians believe, this was our reciprocity. This is your pathway. You have to protect this law. I
want to set this up for you in a nice button, because I know people will take this, right? I know you got it.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I got plenty of time. I'm here to hang out with you. I've been looking forward to this. I don't have a meeting. I'm good.
He said, I'm good. I make my own rules.
I make my own rules. I like hanging out with you. You kidding me? I want to come hang out with you a lot more. I love this.
But why is this such a special case? And in your opinion, why should we be so informed about it?
It's a very special case because it's the original Civil Rights Act in America. It's about protecting our economic inclusion. If we don't have economic inclusion, then you're done. If you are poor and black and don't have an education in America, they will treat a stray dog better than you. As a matter of fact, there are more animal shelters than there are homeless shelters. And so you can't live like this. You have to have access to a proper education. You have to have access to economics that can really get you to be a part of the American financial fiber. And so this law was designed to give us a pathway to that. This is now being taken away. This is one of the first time the acting Solicitor General, the Attorney General, is standing in the United States Supreme Court to roll back our civil rights to a point where we can't use them.
So what can we do? How can we help?
You can.
What kind of ruckus can we make?
You know what? Great question. First, having me here is fantastic, and thank you. Know what you're up against. This is one of those. They get you in the courtroom, and you don't even know about it.
And you can't normalize things like this.
You can't. That's right.
Because we've been so normalized with things that have been going on with Donald Trump.
That's right.
That it's like, okay, what else did we expect?
That's right. You got to protect your civil rights. Protect your civil rights. That's what I want us to do. Protect them. Go to your representatives. Ask all 47 of them. Go to the grill. If you go to the grill, we will post who signed it. Right. Then you'll see who didn't. Go to the 47 members of the Congressional Black Caucus and ask them, why didn't you sign this? And what are you going to do to say to Comcast and Charter, how dare you challenge our civil rights? In the words of Muhammad Ali, if you even dream about whooping my ass, you better wake up and apologize. That's what time of day it is.
So if you don't drop this case, our civil rights.
I'm not going to drop the case. We're going to go into the Supreme Court on November 13th. We're going to go in front of the 9 justices. We're going to take the position that we prevailed with in the 9th Circuit twice. And Comcast, this is one of those, if you win, you lose. If you lose, you lose.
That's what I mean. So what are the ramifications if you do drop the case? If you do drop the case, what are the ramifications to the black community? How did that affect? If you do drop the case.
If we do drop the case, then, which we won't, then at the end of the day, they'll say, well, then the Civil Rights Act is not at stake anymore. But they're the ones who brought it. And what they've done is they've upset a lot of folks in D.C. And I've said to David Cohen and Brian Robertson, through back channels, this is not good. You've upset a lot of folks, and that wasn't the intent. Now you got folks in D.C. who are now talking about quietly working and aggressively working to break up Comcast because they don't believe Comcast should be the largest cable operator, own TV stations, and own the largest portfolio of cable networks. That's not my agenda. I don't necessarily want to see Comcast broken up. I don't want to see their business hindered in any way. I just want them to just have the respect to sit down with me so we can work things out, so nothing's being jeopardized. But they've upset a lot of folks. The NAACP has weighed in aggressively, and there are a lot of other folks, Color Change, ADOS. A lot of people are weighing in, and they're really now they're going to hold their representatives accountable and a lot of politicians accountable. And I think, Comcast is living in a bubble. And I get it. David Cohen gets paid over $14 million a year and has a budget over $125 million to make sure that he donates money to black civil rights organizations and politicians to make sure that there are not any issues. But he's gone a bridge too far because people are truly upset because what's at stake are our civil rights. They could literally take us back to 1865. I didn't take this to the Supreme Court. They're the ones who need to drop it. And we're the ones that are in the right.
How much have you spent fighting this?
Millions. I don't even keep track.
Yeah,
I really don't. I mean, I don't. For me, this is about.
Who else is helping you besides yourself? Is there anybody saying,
No, I've done this. I've spent millions. And at the end of the day, this was something I remember talking to Coretta Scott King about. This is the fourth and final chapter. We're going to have economic inclusion. And by the way, this is not an ask. This is a take. We're not asking. We're taking because it's rightfully ours. We have a seat at the table. No one ever invites you to have that. No one's going to hand that to you. This is ours. And you have to understand your value, your worth. We deserve better. We've built this with you. Good luck being the wealthiest country in the world without our free labor and hundreds of years of slavery. Good luck. We know who we are. We're kings and queens. Royalty runs through our blood. We're from Africa, the oldest continent. Okay? We know who we are. We know our value. I know that you've worked overtime to make me feel or make us feel like we have less value. But we know what we bring to the table. And we certainly bring to the table where you need to have the respect to sit down with us. When you haven't even sat down with us, David Cohen and Brian Roberts. And that's a problem. And by the way, the reason why you're the #1 cable operator in America is because black entrepreneurs didn't have the money. A lot of black entrepreneurs were awarded the cable system in the black communities. But black entrepreneurs didn't have access to the capital to physically lay the cable down to the home. So the reason why you're the #1 cable operator in America and you have all the black cities and all the black neighborhoods is because the black entrepreneur didn't have access to capital.
We still don't.
And we still don't. Right. And so if you're going to take all this money out of our community with African-American cable subscribers, then just have the respect to sit down and let's work this out and not jeopardize the civil rights of over 100 million Americans living today, minorities today in America, and over 1 billion in the future.
How do we change that, though? You talk about, finances. We can't get money. They're not lending us money.
That's right.
And the banks that we do have can't give us necessarily the amount that we need.
That's right.
Most of the time. So
that's right.
It's
you have to have home ownership. You have to have home ownership. Because you need that home ownership, so especially when you have a child that's born. So when that child is 18, you can refinance that house and send that kid to college. There is no President Barack Hussein Obama without Harvard in his biography.
Correct.
You got to send these kids to school.
That's what I was going to ask you earlier about higher education, because we've been having a lot of debates up here where people feel like it's not necessarily what we need to do. People are going into debt and spending a lot of money on an education and then coming out of school and not even knowing what they want to do.
We have to finance our kids. We have to make sure they get in school and they stay in school. And we have to check the percentages. If you see that the top 100 universities in America have less than 0.5% of black kids in their population, we won't end the economic genocide. You can just look at the population of the top 100 universities in America. And if you're 0.5%, then you're not going to get recruited by the biggest corporations. And the biggest Wall Street firms. You've got to get into these colleges. And we have to fund our kids in these colleges. And we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
And what about HBCUs? You mentioned.
Absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs, and Comcast did not accept it, and that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that, Tom.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to. point to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay. And that's what I said. And I remember I said to Tom Rutledge at Charter, Tom Rutledge said, well, you sued me and blah, 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 because I was trying to get my merger done. I said, Tom, if you really want to know the truth, why I sued you, it's when I saw you in the newspaper with Al Sharpton, and you had taken a photo with Al, and you said, and this is no disrespect to Al, you said, we have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with black people. And I said, Al, who is the white guy who speaks for all black people? And why do you think there's a black guy that speaks for all black people? And why do you think he speaks for me? And so if that white guy doesn't exist for you, then that black guy doesn't exist for me. And the very idea that you can go to a black person to speak for all black people is a racist idea. And that is a racist document. This is the head native speaking for all the other natives. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Has Al Sharpton been helping him to block you a little bit?
No, I wouldn't say he's been helping to block, but I think what they do is they go to people like the Urban League and the NAACP and folks like that, and they make donations. And because they make donations, maybe they don't speak up quite the way they should, in my humble opinion. I don't think the Urban League should have spoken out against net neutrality, which they did. President Obama fought to get net neutrality. And if we didn't have net neutrality, you wouldn't have gotten the video out of Ferguson, because they would have throttled the internet, and they would have made it tough for you to watch that video coming out of Ferguson. Black America needs net neutrality like Black America needs food, water, and oxygen. And you have to ask your civil rights organizations. Ask them. Ask all of them. Did you speak out against net neutrality? Did you work with Comcast to try and stop net neutrality? And if they did, that tells you everything you need to know. Because black people, we need to stop looking to others to save us and speak for us. You need to save yourself and speak for yourself.
Well, with that said, shouldn't a guy like you who has billions of dollars, you should be giving to these black organizations like the NAACP and the Urban League? So basically, you got them in your pocket instead of them being in the white man's pocket.
Yeah, I like the way you think. Look, the Urban League gave me the Whitney M. Young Jr. Award April 18th, my dad's birthday of this year. And I gave them $250,000. And I told them I will give you more, but we have to work together. I know Comcast gives the Urban League $1 million a year, and I know it's tough for them to wean themselves off of that crack. And I said, guys, I'm here to help. Myself, I'm happy to help replace that money, if not all of it. But sit with me and make sure you're doing the right thing. And there's plenty of folks. Black people, we're not poor. We have a lot of wealth in our community, and we're happy to lean in, and we're happy to finance our politicians so they can do the right thing, so they can speak up and speak out and protect our interests and make sure that we do get access to capital, make sure the banks are lending us money, make sure we are a part of that pension fund, $1 trillion pension fund, and making sure that our schools are strong and they are making sure that our kids are properly educated and making sure that we do have a seat at the table at these major universities.
I know we keep saying harping on education, and I agree, but education is not going to stop racism.
No,
because you're going through a racist situation right now.
No, but it helps to equalize it.
I don't know if I agree.
You can't. When people are educated and they have money, it's tough to discriminate against them.
I think when a cop sees a black person,
they still do it. It does not
treat you like a nigga, regardless of what your financial status is, your education.
Absolutely, but you do have stronger. You have more resources, and you have greater resources to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have your whole entire network from the alumni and everybody from that school that you went to that you can tap into.
And what happens is a lot of people don't mess with people who can afford the best lawyers.
That's true. All of that's true.
Right there. When you got money, when you have money and you can hire the best lawyers, people treat you with respect. Okay? So you want to have that education and you want to have resources, and it starts to level the playing field. And that's important. And what I say is, look, I have mad respect for a lot of people in our community. And I know most people in our community want the best for us. And I want to make sure we position ourselves for long-term success. And we do it now. And we have to be really vigilant about it. And, listen, I think, look, the gay community also is being challenged the day before on November 12th in the Supreme Court. And they're brilliant. They're out there on the streets and they're protesting. And I'm not saying get out there and protest, and certainly, but make it be known that you're aware of this and you're not happy about it. Hey, Comcast, David Cohen, Brian Roberts. Hey, Tom Rutledge at Charter. Don't challenge our civil rights. That's not right. Let's sit down and let's figure it out. You have a voice. You have a lot of power. Also, you need to really talk to your representatives. When you have, 12 members of Congress that have leaned in, and you have 47 sitting on the bench, you have to say, and why should we vote for you? And why should we give you money? You need to protect our civil rights.
And besides all that, we got people. I just want one last question. With people that look like you, that came from similar situations,
yes.
How are you helping those individuals? A lot of times, we see, we support, but a lot of times nobody necessarily is reaching a hand back to the areas that we came from and say, let me help you so I can give you a jump start, something that I didn't have.
I love it.
But you have the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I do plenty of that. I do plenty of that. I mean, just sitting here and just speaking with the community and making sure, please understand, your civil rights are at stake. Your civil rights, right? A lot of folks wouldn't take the time. They just do what they do. There are plenty of folks out there that say, I'm rich, I got mine, get yours. I'm not that person. It's easy not to sit here. It's easy. I can go sit on a yacht in the south of France right now. Okay, and I know plenty of folks who are doing that. But I'm sitting here saying, we deserve better, we can be better, and we can do better, and here's how we come together. That's why I'm sitting here.
And you've been relatively quiet all of these years, so for you to be being vocal about this right now.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm talking, I'm taking what Coretta Scott King taught me, and I'm saying, hey, folks, we got to deal with the fourth and final chapter. It's the reason I bought the Griot. So it's 100% African-American owned. When you think about the Weather Channel being owned by an African-American, that is historic. You basically have 4 news organizations in America.
I feel like we celebrated that up here when it happened.
Yo, thank you.
Yeah.
CNN owned by AT&T, MSNBC owned by Comcast, and Fox News owned by News Corp, and the Weather Channel owned by me. That in itself is, exceptional for us as a community. Buying Freestyle so we can go direct to the movie theaters. That's a first. The Griot so we can have a voice that's just, it can't be edited. It is about making sure that we have the truth, the absolute truth. And it's overarching, it's real simple. We just want to make sure all Americans have fair access, equal opportunity. All Americans, especially African Americans, the furthest left behind, and making sure that we work together with our gay brothers and sisters and our Hispanic brothers and sisters and Asian brothers and sisters, everybody, to make sure that if they're under siege, that they know we have their back. Because today it's them, tomorrow it's us.
Right. We appreciate
we got another great black creator coming in, Will Packer. My final question, this is it.
They come up now 3rd and 5 following the incomplete pass.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think
You were talking about Lord.
With take away the invitation to Lexus sales event.
Get $1,500 lease cash toward a 2022 RX 350.
3 rooming. We will see. Hard to defend.
You join Countdown? It seems like every time you do Countdown.
Entertaining conversations about Patrick Mahomes, because why not? That doesn't make
to talk about here.
You got
Do you do? The money you earn?
He didn't know. Say, we get it. Isn't anybody else? Those are the questions. We'll have the answers.
Is the way it looks is the way it looks. And the way this looks to me and my basketball arm is that the pieces fit. Now, there's still questions around Tobias Harris. Can he become activated? Yeah, but what I'm seeing Tyrese Maxey do, how I'm seeing this team corral around them, Come on,
Why
we're going to find out about it when
to
they
the
play.
American public? You're lying to the American public.
Who's the best team in the Eastern Conference?
You know
who's the best team in the Eastern Conference, Stephen A?
You know better. Excuse me, who's the best team in the Eastern Conference? Excuse me, last time I checked, Miami was the #1 team before they lost last night. Chicago's still there. Milwaukee's still there. And oh, by the way, we're talking about all of this stuff. We haven't seen Brooklyn yet, which is a story we will get into without question, because I got some questions about that. We haven't seen Brooklyn on the court yet.
Time out. You gave me three answers. You gave me three answers. I said, who is the best team in the Eastern Conference? You gave me Chicago, Miami. Who's the best team in the Eastern Conference?
Well, right now, I would tell you Miami is, even after a loss to Milwaukee. I would tell you Milwaukee is as well. I understand you got James Harden with Joel Embiid. I'm saying to you, can we see them against competition? Let me go back to the Knicks for a second.
You just gave me two teams. You gave me two teams again. You gave me two teams. You're not giving me one, you're giving me two. I've never seen you flounder this way. Who's the best team in the Eastern?
Time out.
They'll throw again.
I've said this on numerous occasions. The list is fluid.
He'll dump this off to Cook.
Okay? It's going to move. It's going to move. We're going to deal with it. It's fluid. It's going to be fluid. It's going to be fluid, all right? Just like the MVP race. It's fluid. It's nothing definitive. It's fluid. So let's get back to the Knicks for a second here, because you talk about playing down to the competition. Okay, let me tell you this. Over the last, I'm just going to go over the last, I'm going to go late January for you to now, okay? Charlotte didn't play down in the competition. Minnesota didn't play down in the competition. New Orleans Pelicans didn't play down in the competition. Cleveland Cavaliers didn't play down in the competition. Miami did it. Milwaukee did it. Memphis did it. L.A. did it. The Lakers, they did it. Utah did it. Denver did it. Portland Trailblazers did not. Oklahoma City did not. Brooklyn without KD, Kyrie, and James Harden did not. Miami again did not. And Philadelphia back-to-back encounters did not. Nobody else played down to the competition when they went up against the New York Knicks. So why should we expect or throw a parade because James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers did it?
Because they won the games they were supposed to win. I've never heard somebody criticize a team or not look great about a team who gets wins. And it's the way it looks, Stephen A. I see how you dress every day. I may be going through the airport. I can't hear what's coming out of your mouth. I'm like, man, he was killed. He's animated on the cameras. It looks right. It feels right. You're telling me that last night, regardless of whether them beating the Knicks or the Sacramento Kings, it didn't look right to you? That's what you're trying to tell me on national TV? It didn't look right to you?
I'm not trying to tell you it didn't look right to me. I'm trying
to
tell you. No, I'm trying to tell you that Philadelphia was a good team before he arrived. And what we're going to learn about the Philadelphia 76ers with James Harden in tow is who they're going to be when they go up against stiffer competition. What I am saying is we know he's great. We know Embiid is great. We know Doc Rivers is great. We know that's a damn good team. What we don't know is what they're going to look like when they go up against stiffer competition, because the New York Knicks don't qualify as that. Now, that breaks my damn heart to say it. You my boy, so you know that breaks my heart to say it. All you did was provoke me to say the damn thing at 10 o'clock in the morning on national television, because you wanted to get on my damn nerves to start the show, because you know exactly what I'm saying is 1,000% correct. The New York Knicks are not the appropriate litmus test for the Harden and Embiid tandem that we're expecting to see, because we know they're both great. We need to see them against stiffer competition, because the New York Knicks at this stage does not qualify as that.
So you just said that the 76ers were already a good team without James Harden, correct? Damn good team. Damn good team. How good were they in the East? What does damn good mean to you in the East before James Harden?
They were like top 4 seed. Top 4 seed.
Oh, so now you're telling me adding James Harden doesn't make them a higher seed than that? Make them better?
I think it can make them better. I expect let me be clear. I expect the 76ers to be in the conference finals.
Okay,
but I don't think they're getting out of the East.
Okay, so wait. If you're telling me that you already thought they were a damn good team, and now you're telling me they add James Harden, and you say to me it looks right, why are you worried about what it's going to look like against the upper tier teams when you already know what it's been like before they added James Harden?
Because
that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, so we want to talk but not let me answer the question. I'm going to answer your question. The answer to that question is my expectations are what they are. If you've got Harden and Embiid
anything less than a berth to the NBA Finals, okay, that has to be it.
Yes.
I expect the Brooklyn Nets to be standing in their way. That's what I expect. Now I'm hopeful.
Okay, let's go there now.
Now I am hopeful. It's Miami for obvious reasons. But I expect the Brooklyn Nets to be standing in their way.
Can I get the call during the Eastern Conference Finals to come down and hang out with you guys? Please, if it's in Miami.
No,
please call me.
I won't have time. I won't have time to hang out with you in South Beach. That won't happen. Okay. And I won't have time to hang out with you.
I don't want to hang out with you. I'm working with you 10 hours a week.
I won't have had time to hang out with any of y'all.
You, your fedora, your cigar, South Beach, it looks right.
You know what, Jay? I don't even want to know. Let's just get to Brooklyn.
Out there,
All right.
for this next drive,
which is still not whole. Kyrie Irving can still not play at home games in New York because he's unvaccinated. Good news, though, Kevin Durant expected back tonight. Can't wait for this game. Jay, are you going? Brooklyn hosting the first-place seed. Before KD got hurt, the Nets were in second place, a half game out of first in the East. Now they're in eighth, 9 games out of first. Talk about impact. And on Monday, the Nets said Ben Simmons still has not been cleared for practice as he recovers from back soreness. He will not practice the rest of this week, and his timetable to return is unknown. Stephen A., what's the bigger story? Is it KD's return, or is it that Simmons is still not playing?
To me, it's KD's return. And the reason why I say it's KD's return, because, he's the man. When healthy, I believe that Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet. That's how I feel about it. And so because of that, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Nets went on an 11-game losing streak the second that he went down. I don't think it's a coincidence that they were the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference when he was healthy, in spite of Kyrie Irving's sporadic availability because he wasn't there at home games and James Harden wanting out. They were still the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference when Kevin Durant was healthy. He goes down. Now they're trying to make sure they can at least make it to the play-in game. Okay? That's how lethal Kevin Durant is. And so when I look at it from that perspective, all right, and I look at the question marks that exist with Kyrie Irving and the vaccine mandate, with Ben Simmons, who is another matter, and as far as I'm concerned, it has become an atrocity. I'm sick of this stuff with Ben Simmons. I really, really am. Because again, we want to be very, very clear and very, very mindful that we're not minimizing the importance of mental health issues. I'm not even thinking, Jay, about what the hell he was going through while he was in Philadelphia. Here's what I do know. Since the brother has arrived in Brooklyn, with the exception of the very first game that took place after he got traded to Brooklyn, because he hadn't arrived in Brooklyn as of yet, he's been with the team for every single game. He's been on the bench. He's been slapping high fives. He's been congratulating everybody. He's been laughing up a storm. He's been looking phenomenal. And we know he's healthy because he hasn't played. No, he's physically healthy, so he hasn't played. Why the hell has this man not been on the court, not been cleared to practice, and all of this other... Something's up. Something's up. All of that stuff puts more of the onus on the shoulders of Kevin Durant when he comes back healthy, because we all know what he can do. He just has to do what we always know him to do. That's all I mean by that.
The answer has been Simmons for all those reasons you just stated, Stephen A.
Mm-hmm.
You said that when KD was healthy, they were the #1 team in the Eastern Conference. They also were the #1 team because they had James Harden on that team, who was giving them such a lethal scoring punch in games in which Kyrie couldn't play. So I got to tell you, I'm really worried about my Nets squad right now, because now Kyrie Irving is only playing on road games due to this new private sector mandate that nobody ever heard of until now all of a sudden we heard of and is a thing, #1. But now when you go to home games, now you're asking KD off the Achilles injury he had a couple years ago, coming back playing. It's the knee issue now to come back, and now just to be great, which he can be. But this is where you need Ben Simmons more than ever, and I'm worried about what Ben Simmons am I going to get if I'm going to get Ben Simmons, because the Nets lose that scoring punch that they had with James Harden, and how Ben Simmons comes back and plays, in particular in home games in which Kyrie can't help offload some of the issues by scoring and his dynamic stuff that he brings to the table offensively. This is where you need Ben Simmons more than ever. And there's no time. I don't understand how there's not a timetable on him coming back to play. And, you know, it's lower back issues because he's working on his conditioning again. I hear all that, but it seems like the environment has changed. And now if there's any time that Ben needs to answer the call, it's coming up in these next couple of weeks, and they need him more than ever in order to help KD elevate. You can't have KD off his injury guarding the other team's best player. That's something that Ben Simmons needs to do because you want KD's legs to be saved for the offensive punches you need at home, in particular at the Barclays Center.
Well, I think that we're confusing our points here because I'm talking the reason why I brought up KD is because we know Ben Simmons is not going to be available for the immediate future. And considering the fact that the Nets recently lost 11 straight, and now they've lost 15 of 13, and now it's 13 of 15 rather, and now it's 15 of their last 18 games, okay? And they're one game above 500 after being the #1 seed when KD was on the court. I'm saying because of the question marks about Ben Simmons, because of the continuing question marks about Kyrie, who's only got 7 games left available to play on the road. The rest of them are supposed to be at the Barclays Center, and the vaccine mandate hasn't been lifted. That's where I'm bringing KD into the equation. I'm not disagreeing with your points about Ben Simmons, but the first order of business is for him to get on the damn court. And it's gotten to a point where we got to speak up about this. I mean, we really do. I mean, listen. I'm dicey about it. I know how sensitive you are about the subject, Jay. Mental health is a serious thing.
Yes, it is.
And listen, there are people who don't believe him, and we've talked about that issue. I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there. Forget about what people believe. Forget about Philadelphia. He's in Brooklyn now. Here's my point to Ben Simmons. You're in Brooklyn. How is it that you're healthy, physically healthy to play basketball, and you're on the bench with new teammates in a new city, high-fiving, laughing, and having a good time, and traveling with the team, but somehow, some way, you can't put on a uniform? Pat Riley, in the book, Blood in the Garden, Chris Aaron in the New York Times, a great job that he did with that book, right? Told the story of Pat Riley being in a locker room, and a player walking in with his street clothes on. And Pat Riley said to him, with everything on the line, he said, if we desperately needed you, could you give us 3 minutes? And that player said, sure, I can do that for you. And Pat Riley said, then what the hell are you doing here with your street clothes? Put on a damn uniform. And my point is, we couldn't say that about Ben Simmons in Philly for the reasons that you and I discussed, Jay. But we can say it now. You're in Brooklyn. You're happy. You're with guys that you want to be with a team that you're happy to be with. And your brothers need you. You smiling, high-fiving, dressed in street clothes. What the hell are you doing? Not to mention the fact, what damage are you doing to your contemporaries? Because the owners are going to remember this. They're going to remember this. They're going to look at that anytime these players are talking about their money and what have you, because you get paid now. The owner's going to be like, this is what we paying for? You to travel with the team. So they got to pay for his travel. They got to pay for his hotel room. You know he ain't paying for his own meals. They're giving him some meals too. You're giving him a check to sit on the bench and smile when you're 100% healthy and ready to go. You got to be kidding me, man. That's why this is on KD in terms of what he's got to do. It's a damn shame he has to do it, but we got to stop glossing over this. This isn't Ben Simmons in Philadelphia anymore. He's in Brooklyn. He's in Brooklyn, smiling more than me and you.
I am on the same page with you on this. I don't know what that buffer time is that he needs. I would like some more specification for him about what his time frame is. I think that would be helpful to help people understand what it is he's going through. And once again, to echo your sentiment around the sensitivities of mental health. I get all that. I've gone through those places. But the one thing I recognize is that now you're asking KD off a knee injury to be prolific once again. And, people always say, oh, what happens to the second half of the season after All-Star break? I'm like, no. We're in the last third of the season. We're in a stretch now. We're in a sprint. So now you're asking KD to sprint to get back to where he was, before he got hurt. And you're looking at Ben Simmons saying, this is why we need you. And here's my thing, Stephen A. If your environment has changed, if the people you're around has changed, I need to understand, I think there will be more pressure on Ben Simmons. Now his teammates will start to look at him saying, what else can we do for you to help you get back on the court, to help us when we need you now?
No, absolutely. Yeah, we got to go. Absolutely, it's crunch time. But according to the team on Monday, they said it's because of that.
And Rodgers doing it. The club. Now, I'm saying this, recognizing that from the field and from three-point range, these are the lowest numbers we've ever seen in Steph Curry's career. I'm saying this knowing that. So why would I do that? Well, there's something to be said for trying to, matriculate Klay Thompson back into the procedure. You got to get him going. You got to be a bit deferential. There's something to be said about being smart enough to be out on the court but still saving yourself, because you've been to 5 straight finals and you are a 3-time champion and you know what's required in the postseason. So it's important for Jordan Poole, Toscano Anderson, Peyton II, and others to really get into the mix, because you're going to need these players down the stretch, especially with Memphis and Phoenix looking the way that they've been looking. There's also something to be said about the ultimate playmaker being out for more than a month now, in Draymond Green. And so you look at it from that perspective and his ability to set up Steph and Klay, not to mention how he elevates the team defensively as well, and what he brings to the table on both ends of the floor, and how easier the game is for Steph Curry and others when Draymond Green is out there. When we're talking playoffs, when we're talking, like if you're talking to me about MVP, Steph ain't nowhere near it compared to Ja Morant right now. Totally understand that. But if you're talking playoff time, well, playoff time, all of those pieces that we're talking about that they're devoid of in Golden State are going to be addressed by then. And so when I look at Memphis right now, I'm seeing